Okay, so our little reflection on 2023, let's look at our services that we ran. So we ran a lot of different series last year, but before actually I dive into them, we had Evie's dedication in the February, which we nearly, that was like 10 months ago now, nearly 11 months. That was like a really long time ago, but we dedicated Evie, which was an amazing moment in this church to get alongside one of our families and dedicate Evie, and see just this church full of people. You guys know people, don't you? Yeah. So our services, we looked at the good life, which was looking at the Sermon on the Mount. We did an Identity in Christ, Who Do You Think You Are series. These might begin to trigger memories as I go through them. We did a Making Room for God series, which was talking about reorganizing our lives within our culture so that we can put God at the center. Then we had our summer services, which were in July, were just a bit more relaxed. We had brunches and prayer walks and a prayer room, and that was just a bit more relaxed community services. Where are we at? In September, we did the healing series, which we had some really powerful times of prayer where we saw some healing taking place, which was really exciting. We had some great testimonies who experienced the power of God. We then moved into meeting God in the Psalms. We had quite a lot of different guest speakers during October, November time, and we were looking at God in the Psalms. And then before Christmas, we had Future Church. Neil did a short series on thinking about how we respond to our culture as a future church. And then we had our carol service, which was epic. We had an amazing carol service. We had about 90 people show up, so lots of guests. We had some fun. We threw Christmas presents around. We sang carols. We had a space through here in the concourse where we had different stations for the kids to go through and grown-ups, and we had opportunities for prayer, and the feedback has been really positive from that because we had people come and get prayer who wouldn't normally come to church, and they engaged with some of the stations there, and that was really exciting. Back in Easter last year, we had a visiting team from Bethel in March time, and this was a really powerful time of ministry as a church, and it turned out that some of them liked it so much they relocated to North Berwick on the back of that, which was a particular win. So after 18 months of waiting and praying and advertising, Jodie came. She found us, or we found her, either way, and we kept her. And we are still waiting for her visa, and we're praying for that to come through. So please keep that at the top of your list to be praying for that. But it has just been so exciting having these guys join us and stepping into this role. But that came from that Bethel trip back in March where they felt like God was speaking to them. If you don't know their story, you need to ask them. It's a really fun story, which is really exciting. Where are we looking at here? And then we've had lots of other new people join us throughout the year, which has been so exciting. So huge welcome to everybody who has joined us in the last 12 months. We are just so honoured and delighted that you're here with us, and a massive welcome. Thank you for joining us on the journey. So that's like a very brief recap of what happened in 2023. So we are a church community, but we are also a charity. And with being a charity, we have responsibilities to operate with good practice and with transparency, and we take this very seriously. So you can actually talk to us trustees, Peter, Norman, myself, Neil and Simon anytime about stuff. We love being transparent about it, and we take this very seriously. So we are going to switch over to Peter now for our finance update, best part of the meeting. So for those who are not numbers people, don't switch off. You will really see God's DNA and fingerprints really through the finances. It's actually amazing when you look at the finances, because money doesn't lie, does it? Numbers don't lie. And you can see God moving and providing and being faithful to the vision that he has for us and bringing the resources in, which is just absolutely amazing. So over to Peter.
Thank you, Joe. Thanks for the build-up. Okay, Normally, charities and churches have an AGM, at which stage they present their fully audited accounts. Okay. The problem with that is, although we have all the numbers for last year, etc., by the time we go through the process of getting them to the auditor and going through, it tends to be mid to late April before that process is complete. And we just think it's far more relevant talking about financials and looking at what happened last year and looking at what we're stepping out for this year, if we can do that in January. So there will be audit accounts that will appear. They will be available, we'll make you all aware, but the numbers that I'm presenting, I would describe as our actual working numbers. So they're real, okay, and they're a blessing. So we did this for the first time last year. We thought it worked, and we thought we'd continue that. Also, this gives us an opportunity to present the budget for the forthcoming year. It seems like every year, since I've been here and been involved, you're going into the year taking a step of faith, needing God to move. Trust me, this year is no exception. We're doing that again. So we're going to present last year's outcomes, this year's projections, and take it forward from there. Everybody okay with that? It's good. I'm trying to flush out the troublemakers early on here. And Joe's just said this. I'm conscious presenting this. Some people work with numbers all the time, and this presentation will be probably oversimplistic in the extreme. Other people will just see numbers floating around, you know, and will smile. Okay. So I'm really looking forward to communicating with the three people that are on my wavelength this morning. I just need to work out who you are. So again, some of you will have heard a version of this presentation because we've stuck to a reasonable format for a number of years. Other people book weekends away, organise root canal treatment. You think the fact that Mark and Cindy have gone to New Zealand for a month is, to my mind, just a step too far, and it hurts, but there you go. So all joking aside, our desire is to be totally open and transparent. I have been involved in churches where that's not the case in the past, and I'm involved in charities. We really have a desire to be completely open about our numbers. Nothing is hidden. All the income that we have comes from either members of the church or people visiting the church. There is nothing else, okay? The only other thing which assists that is our good friends in HMRC, because all of the giving that is done by taxpayers who sign up for gift aid means that we can reclaim the tax that's been paid on that money. And as you'll see in a couple of minutes here, that makes a huge difference to us. So, and if you are a member or you're coming along and you are a taxpayer and you're giving, let's get the forms done. Really, there's no work to be done. As I go through, if anybody has a question, you know, that you're stuck with, just attract my attention, because there's probably half a dozen other people with the same question, you know. And at the end of the meeting, I'll be hanging around for a while. Easy questions for me, difficult ones to Neil, but we'll answer them and take as long as they need. So we do believe God is doing something special in the fellowship. And actually part of that's witnessed by the people who are here this morning, not all of whom were here last year. So when we set a budget for the year, it is in many respects a step of faith, but we do try to balance that with a degree of responsibility. We look at where we're at, we look at what we have, and we balance the two things. So we're going to talk about how we manage the funds. We certainly don't overcomplicate the process. And as I say, there's a number of us. There's 5 of us review the figures every month. And we also owe a huge debt of thanks to Charlene, who works for us. She's based in France. She was here with us, and then her and George moved to. She does a fantastic job on all things salaries, tax, NI, gift aid, you know, all of, and producing the numbers for us to work with. So we're blessed to have that. So, see if I can get this up here. So Norman, could we go? So we've said what we're going to do. How we break our income down. Normal giving, what do we describe as that? As many people do, standing orders, give us money each month, and that's great. There's offerings. I think offerings disappeared with cash, you know, unless we've got a switch machine here where offerings aren't a big thing for us anymore. We also get non-budgeted income. Now, that falls into a couple of categories. It could be we have an offering for something, and we say we would like to give, to Christmas cheer or whatever. So that would be we don't know what those things are going to be at the beginning of the year. We do them and we give. There's also times where people might give us a gift that they would like somebody else to receive. They would like to do it anonymously. They would like to do it through the church, and we facilitate that. So it's money in, money out. And it goes to where it's meant to go, and so that's fine. And finally, we have gift aid, which produces that. We then break our expenditure down into 4 main categories. There's aid and honour. That's where we as a church are giving out. Releasing ministry, people. Okay, people. The people who we have. Neil, Joe, we're blessed to have them as leaders. They took over an online church during lockdown, looking at laptops, getting to know us all. A few years ago, they're a very hard act to follow, but they've done an amazing job. We're blessed to have them. We have this vision that appeared via Sydney, California, North Berwick. Most people aspire to do it the other way around, but there you go. There's no... God moves in mysterious ways. And then we have resources. That's making sure we've got the funds available for children's work, youth work, or whatever. And then there's lots of bits and pieces of admin that need to be looked after. So that's where it comes from. So let's look at 2023. So we start off the year doing a budget, covering all of these things. And as you'll see, we're blessed last year. Tithes were slightly higher, offerings. We were in a great place. And the gift aid number speaks for itself, 12,922. That makes a big, big difference to us, and thank you all for doing that. For the first time in years, we're now starting to get interest on money on deposit, so a byproduct of inflation, but we're there with that. We've also then got people giving towards the family workers. Joe said we spent over 2 years ago, we felt that one of the things the church was asking us to step in faith, and that we needed to have a family worker for where God wanted to take us. And Jody is the end result of that, and has been offered, does a great job, and at some point we'll get a visa through and properly employ you, but you've a great job. So as you see there, there's the special gifts, Uganda. So the total of non-budgeted 13,000 is probably 50% of that would be people who, for whatever reason, just gave us extra money. Like whatever, they maybe inherited something or whatever. And 50% of it was allocated to specific things, so we're blessed with that. So going on then to our expenditure, how we spent the money that came in. UK giving, that will include supporting the Scottish Network. It also supports the Bethany van. There's a number of people here go out once a month. We work with Bethany, we take the van out, we do various stops in Edinburgh. We give the people who are homeless, now that might be just during the day homeless, they may be in a hostel but they've nowhere to go during the day. We'll give them a hot drink, we give them a choice of sandwiches, we give them a goodie bag with chocolate and biscuits and all that stuff, and just really treat them with respect. Bethany do a fantastic job, and it's just great for us to be part of that. So there's things like that. Aid abroad, we support a girl called Jan White, who operates a hospice and clinic in Uganda. She actually slipped in here undercover at her first meeting of the year. She's back in the UK getting some medical treatment, and it was only halfway through when we were the meeting I realised who it was her. So we support that. So we try and look outside ourselves, and we want to be a church that's generous. Hospitality, catering, coffees, teas, carol services, all of that. And ministry gifts. If somebody travels from the other side of Scotland to come and speak to us, we try to give them a gesture, not enough to change their lives, but hopefully a generous gesture. And then over the years, situation arrive, and these are decisions made by the whole team. Well, there's maybe a situation arises that we feel we need to do something with, and that's that. So that's where that money goes. The next month, moving on to then, is releasing ministry. People are our biggest expenditure by some distance, but that's deliberate. That's not an accident. We need good leadership. We need a good family worker. We need someone to do our books and keep us right, So we don't just employ people, we employ good people, and that's a fantastic blessing and not easy to find. Then there's the other issues that, thankfully it doesn't cost much for Neil to get from his home to Steampunk. So the travel expenses is lower than they might normally be, so we're good there. And you see the other things, I don't need to go through them one by one, you can read them. So, but we do want to invest in the future. Then the next thing we're into is resources. Well, again, I don't need to read the list to you. None of them are phenomenally big. Probably what I would want to say, and going into next year, are we committing enough resources to youth, to children, to enable us to do what we want to do? That's a key thing for us. We have increased those budgets for 2024, as you'll see in a minute. And we will review that, and the beauty about it is we'll meet every month. If we need more, we'll find more. Last but not least, the really boring slide, which is administration. It has to be done, it's real. Probably the number that will stand out to you is we meet here on a Sunday morning, we have this hall, we have next door, we have facilities for the kids. That cost us £748 last year. So that we are blessed by the council. We're also blessed by outstanding janitors, by the way, who look after us brilliantly. Now that was lower than it should have been last year because we had overpaid in previous years, and there's a bit of a review going on at the moment. We want to formalise what we have, so that's all good. But the rest of the numbers are not significant, so we're able to operate very well in that. So how did the year finish? Total income, our normal giving was up, special gifts in and out were there, and we actually started off the year thinking, if we could do everything that we had planned to do, employing a family worker when we intended, we had expected to have to dig into our reserves by just over £16,000. God blessed us. We had a surplus of 1,029. So every year when I do this budget, we can do what I've just done and look at the previous year. And when I do that, I'm absolutely blessed by what God has done. Okay. I then also stand here totally full of faith, looking at the next year's budget. So full of faith with my fingers absolutely crossed that it's not going to go all wrong. So how do we finish last year? If we look at where we were, we actually have, by hopefully good stewardship over the years, we have unrestricted funds in the bank, some of which we need to keep for emergencies, of £32,000. Okay? So that enables us to go in and set a budget for this year, knowing that we're not talking overdrafts. We're talking about money that we've faithfully put away over the years, and we intend to use. It's not there to be sitting there. We also, thanks to the people who have committed and given, when we announced the family worker, a lot of people committed to giving us money on a monthly basis for that. So we actually built up a fund that we had in place of 21,300. So that's fantastic. There's also 5,700 there. School of Transformation, that's a work that Neil and Joe did, really taking people into ministry. And obviously when they moved from Monk was down to here, there was a change, they had COVID, etc. So, but that money is there not for us to spend, to be used for that cause at a point as and when. So you'll be glad to know we're on to the last slide. There's not many falling asleep. So if we look at 2023 actuals, which I've run through with you there, that's where we came to. The budget for next year, again, we're budgeting for income of around 70,000. Now, we've taken a modest increase. If I look at where we're at on monthly giving, our tithe income is around 50,000. So we're not budgeting for 25% growth, but we do believe God is moving. We do believe, in the same way as people who we didn't even know last year are here today, we believe next year there'll be more of those seats filled. God is doing something, and it's exciting to be part of. So we need to do the things that we need to do through the year to make that happen, and that's what we send the budget. So we are planning, if you just take this budget on its own with nothing happening, that would leave us with a deficit of 19,884. Okay, half of that will be covered by, I just mentioned, the Family Worker Fund. We can draw from that fund. That's what it's there for, okay? We've got a couple of years funding for that, so we'll draw into that, and we do have our reserves. So, but I really do believe God will move this year. I believe we're blessed, we've been blessed, and we're in a good place. So, but trust me, we will review these figures every month. If there's anything changing going on, we will let you know. But that's it as it stands. So thanks for your attention. Thanks for being here. And if I could hand over to Neil.
Come on, round of applause for Peter. The most exciting finance presentation you've ever had. I hope you can see God's hand at work in our finances. It sounds like, just numbers, but we see God's hand in the numbers, the lives that we can change through giving money away, the lives that we can change by being here together in fellowship and beyond. And as Peter says, the headline is really just give thanks for 2023. How amazing is that? How amazing is that to see that change? But we're not settling. God is not done with us yet. We're in a season as a church where we're growing, we're investing for the future, and that's why we've set a budget as we have. And for us to fulfill our mission, we're going to continue to have to take those steps of faith for us to grow into the future. Now, many of you already give both faithfully and sacrificially to the church, and for that I just say a massive thank you. We obviously thank God for the provision, but we also know it comes through your hands, so we're not naive to that. And today is just a great opportunity. If you do not currently give to the church, then there's an invitation today to do that. We need help to meet the faith that we have for the future. So if you don't give, there's two main reasons I would encourage you to give. Firstly, we need you to partner with us. We're investing in the future of God's kingdom here in East Lothian and beyond. And we have dreams, and dreams take resources. So that's the first reason. Be part of God's mission here in the community. And secondly, we actually believe that giving is core to what it means to follow Jesus. That actually giving is part of our discipleship, is part of what it means to follow Jesus. We have to let God influence all areas of our life, and our finances are one of them. So for me, it's not actually about whether you're giving huge amounts or whether you're giving £10 a month. It's actually about a posture that says, I want to give as a disciple of Jesus. And I would encourage you, if you're not giving this now, just to start where you are. Don't start with where you want to be. Just start where you are. And if it's £5-10 a month, then great. But see it as part of your worship to God. That's what's important. So if you're interested in giving, then you can chat to myself or to Peter afterwards. And we have gift aid forms and the offering box at the back if you want to give there. There's no guilt. We don't do guilt here. It's just an invitation today. So we've been listening for a little while. I'm going to encourage you just to say hello to someone next to you again, or stretch, and we'll gather back in about 1 minute's time.